Hello, I'm John Higgins and welcome to my channel. This is day 2 of 50 in the countdown to the 9 lessons and carols service, and today I'd like to share with you some insights into the preparation that goes into this service. And so, as the name suggests, the 9 lessons and carols is a series of lessons which originate from the Christmas story found in the Bible reading passages and are accompanied by Christmas carols that are sung by the congregation. And this wonderful tradition originated from King's College, Cambridge, and has been loved and cherished and followed throughout the world for this will be, I believe, the 102nd year. It was 2 years ago that we celebrated 100 years of this service. And so there are a number of, traditional structures of how the service works. For example, it always opens with "Once in Royal David City," and that's in King's College, Cambridge, is sung by a boy soprano from the very highly regarded and esteemed choir. And in our church we don't have a formal choir, and we don't have any boy sopranos, so we usually would speak with a number of people in the congregation who are suitable candidates who might be interested to volunteer for the opening solo. And sometimes, depending on how they would like to do it, they may sing the first verse unaccompanied, as it is done in the UK, or sometimes I would play very soft accompaniment for them just to help with pitch, and so that the congregation can blend into verse 2 quite easily. There's another significant milestone is the last carol in the service is almost always "Hark the Herald Angels Sing" as the conclusion. So what I like to be very well prepared, so I have I put all the music and the lessons together in a bound folder, and the reason why I did this is there's nothing worse than having all of these pieces of paper and sheet music, which terrible things can happen, like the music falls off the music desk, or the pages get out of order, or the wind blows, and all sorts of strange things can happen in these high pressure situations. So I have a bound document with all the music, and this is an example here of where I incorporate an A3 page. So this is the carol, the first Noel, and so I have the music, the standard carol music, and then here for the last verse I have an alternative harmony and descant. And then over on this page I have a list of all the verses and my registrations that I'll use. And I like to have all of that planned out so I can select all of the stops and combinations, because it's in my preparation, it's not just playing the notes, but it's also the registration changes. It's important to practice the registration changes, how your hands might shift between manuals, any couplers that you have to engage, and particularly on the 1873 Speechley and Ingram mechanical pipe organ at our church, there's no sequencer stepper system. There's no thumb pistons. Most of the registrations have to be done by hand, so it's worth planning those so that it's smooth and slick. And so I have all of that music prepared and bound, and including the postlude, the prelude, the organ voluntary, and any other music that I'll be playing in that service, including sometimes some introductory music which I play beforehand as people are coming in. Another thing that I highly recommend is I have a printout here of all of the slides that will be displayed during the service. So often nowadays all the words to the carols are put up on a PowerPoint slide on a projector screen out the front of the church, and it's very rare that hymn books are used for our church during this service. So I like to have a direct copy of everything that's on the slides, because occasionally there are variations or differences between the words of the carols, the number of verses and things like that, and it's important to be able to look at the text to see what is the message of each verse, what is the tone, what registrations are appropriate for different verses, and important punctuation details like where there's a comma that might warrant a further pause or emphasis in the music, or how I would adjust the articulation to emphasize a certain word or a certain phrase, and also making sure that you know exactly when to start and stop. There's nothing worse than thinking that you're on the last verse when there's another line to go, or thinking that there's an extra verse, which is even worse because everyone's sitting down and you're potentially pulling out more stops and going for the last verse. So when I first started playing at our church for one of the normal Sunday services, there was a difference between the number of verses on the slideshow versus the hymn book, and I incorrectly assumed that the verses would match between the hymn book and the slideshow. So once I'd made that mistake, I've always double checked and made sure that I'm looking at exactly the same copy as what's going up on the projector. So there's just a few insights into the preparation for the service, and any alternative harmonies, descants or notes to do with other musicians who might be playing as well. It's important to have all of that notated. So it's well worth a few dollars in printing and binding to have that all neat and ready to go. So there's day 2 of 50 in the lead up to our Christmas service. I hope that's been helpful and gives you an insight into the preparation that goes into hopefully everything running very smoothly and everyone enjoying the music and the whole service. So until tomorrow, take care and we'll see you soon. Bye.